Hey, it's Darren Copley. Thank you for joining me today. This is my first video back after a while, and I'm glad you're with me. Today we're going to be talking about some mistakes that game developers have made over history. What these design choices were, why they made them, who they were competing with, and just why the heck would they ever choose to publish something like this? So what we're going to talk about now is the breakdown of some of the weirdest additions to video games in history. So the first one we're going to talk about is 1995 Ultra Vortek Atari Jaguar system. This was in the days of competing with the Mortal Kombat launches, finishing moves, things like that. So this was a title that was very sleepy. No one really paid attention to it. You know, the system of Jaguar itself was pretty sleepy. Coming out claiming it was 64-bit, which during the 90s and the bit wars of 8-bit, 16-bit, 64-bit was huge. And Atari had that moment where they were going to be able to show the world what they could do with that kind of bit size. This was a hurrah, I believe, from Atari. They were really kind of struggling after a while. They had the Woody and they had their glory days, but competing against Nintendo and Sega at the time were very tough. Then you had some Neo Geo going in and some other systems, and then Xbox started coming in slowly, and then what we had with PlayStation. So the last kind of hurrah before the systems got serious and consoles got serious was the 64-bit Atari Jaguar system. Mortal Kombat was making it big right now at this time in the early 90s, 92, 93, 94. So Mortal Kombat was getting really big. Fighting games with realistic characters, digitized, motion capturing all of the effects, making it look like it's an actual real person fighting another real person. That was really big when digitizing got really big, people scanning. So during this time of the Mortal Mania, as they called it, when Mortal Kombat was just tearing it up with the very controversial fatalities, bloody combat, different fight style, dismemberment, things like that. Among all the ones that came out after that, this was Ultra Vortek. This game, Ultra Vortek, was a little bit of a digitizing, a little bit of a lazy man's, poor man's Mortal Kombat. I have a feeling they kind of were competing, but kind of not. And I'll go over that in a second with some of the finishing moves. But it was almost like they wanted some of the cash of a serious fighting game, but they also wanted to troll the hell out of the users and the industry. So I thought that was kind of funny, and even more so now. So these video games tried to copy the success of Mortal Kombat. Before Mortal Kombat, we had lots of cartoon-based, hand-drawn looking artwork, anime, things like that in the arcades. But when they wheeled in Mortal Kombat, with the digitized characters, the realistic blood, the sound effects, it was really up in the game for all of these developers. So when you look at a game like this, they're trying to copy what Mortal Kombat was doing among many other companies. You can see the digitized graphics. These graphics are real people. They were scanned in, pretty clunky by today's standards, and it looks kind of bad now, but back then it was amazing technology and cutting edge. But we were in that phase as kids as well of saying, that looks realistic, that doesn't look realistic. It was the whole realistic battle, right? We tried to make these games closer and closer to life as we possibly could. So these guys were digitized. They probably had 3 to 4 animation cycles, were pretty bad. Punch straight ahead, jump straight up in the air, fall straight on the ground. There was no transition between animations. I don't know if they were just being kind of cheap about it or this was the best animation could be, but it is pretty clunky, very segmented animations where it's not very fluid. And then, the next thing is, how did they do the gore? Mortal Kombat had all the blood now, they did it the right way, but how are we going to beat Mortal Kombat or at least compete? Let's up the blood level, right? So the annihilation time area of this game was just basically how are you going to finish them off? Some ridiculous thing where you stab them, shake them with a stick, possibly throw something at their head, they fall over, just kind of a lazy way of just having their head explode, throw blood everywhere. But in this video, I want to talk about ridiculous design. Had no place in a game. It was just a troll, I believe. It couldn't possibly be something that somebody got excited about beyond that. And these things were called Poopalities. Yes, Poopalities. This was a way to finish your opponent. We're not making bloody things go on. Body parts aren't disappearing. You just basically move your hands around a little bit and your opponent turns into a pile of poop. The creativity level was pretty much ridiculous. This might have been a drunken studio creation that says, look, We're going to troll these people, maybe have some releases in the old video game magazines, some kind of Easter egg thing. But I started doing them because they were just ridiculous and funny, and a way to just really drop the mic on your opponent. I mean, what's more embarrassing than just turning them into a pile of shit, right? And to my knowledge, I think this is the only game that ever did that poop route. I think we always joked about it as a kid, like, you're a piece of shit, whatever, at the end. Well, you literally make them a piece of shit now in the end. But the Poopalities were ridiculous. The creation of them were pretty simple. It honestly looks like a JPEG of poop, and then a JPEG 2 sprite animation of just smell coming off of it. The guy doesn't even announce Poopality. I believe only the text shows up on the screen. Even laziness for the guy. They're probably like, look, voiceover guy, come in the studio, I'll give you a few $100, say Poopality. I think the guy he was done by then. But they got it in the game. I feel like it's a ridiculous choice for design. I'm talking about it, so maybe they did win in that fact. But it was definitely a thing in the 90s that was really cool. In the race for video game fighting games, to one-up the next guy, and what lengths the studios would go to compete and get someone talking about their game. So anyway, that was a ridiculous game choice. I hope you like this little snippet of what people were doing to try and compete back in the 90s. There's a lot more stuff I'm going to be talking about this week. Like I said, this is a new set of videos coming out.